Good evening, Flexi fam. I'm so excited to be popping into your lives this evening for the next 20 minutes with you and my special guest. So while we're waiting for them, let me say that I am Mary, the founder. Oh, good evening, Flexi fam. I'm so excited to be popping into your lives this evening for the next 20 minutes with you and my special guest. So while we're waiting for them, let me say that I am Mary, the founder of the Flexi Fit Menstrual Cup, and I'm on a mission to empower you to be free and fierce in your lives, period. Now, I've been learning that we're not given all the information that we need to make powerful decisions around our bodies, our health, our fitness, our mindsets. So I am partnering with fierce women to bring you all the information you need to make empowered choices. So we are waiting for our special guest this evening, and I'm really excited. Oh, I can see she's just joined.
I'm not sure if it's me or you, but you are just going round in a circle. Oh, there we go. I can see you now. You've loaded up.
Oh, yes! I'm here.
The connection is really bad. I
Flexi
don't know if
fam.
it's my end. I can see you. Yeah, that's it.
Oh no. Shall we try? Shall we carry on?
Yeah, let's give it a go. You're coming back to me now. I can see you. So hopefully, fingers crossed, whatever's going on, it's just obviously a bit slow, but I can see you.
I feel like we are just giving everyone a little bit of waiting time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're building the
it up.
anticipation.
That's it. Absolutely.
Amazing. So, Flexi fam, this is Louise Long. She is a fitness professional who helps women lose weight and empowers them in staying accountable to their goals. And now Louise has been on a fitness journey of herself and for what that means to be fit and healthy. So, Louise, you thought that you were really fit and healthy, going to the gym, riding your horses, teaching your fitness classes, and actually your diet was really poor.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought that you couldn't really be overweight, that your health was going to be okay, but really you were suffering from things like tonsillitis and really bad skin.
Yeah,
So fast forward 5 years, and now you are you've turned your health and the health of your family around to overcome some real health issues. So you are here this evening to talk to us from your experience and to talk to us about everything immunity. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to talk to you all. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Honestly, we've spoken, haven't we, Louise, beforehand? Yeah. And I'm just so bowled over by just how you turned your life around and the health of your family as well. Mm-hmm. So I know you've got some awesome tips for us.
Absolutely.
And the Flexi fam. Yeah,
brilliant. So I think right now, especially, like, immunity is something that we need to really be focusing on with the whole pandemic and everything like that. And I think people have been, scared and told to stay at home and, stop the spread, which I think is, obviously really, really important. But I think we also should have been told now is the perfect time to be looking at our health and really doing what we can to boost our immunity. So that's why I'm super, super passionate as well about, trying to spread more awareness of what we can do to improve our immunity and how we can then fight other things. So
yeah, so good. Because I know that not very many people know that actually we have power over our immunity. Like, yeah, we can't always say what's going to come our way, whether that's a cold or a virus, but actually there are things we can do, aren't there, like on a daily 100%. Basis to really boost that.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much that we can do to make sure our immune system is as strong as it possibly can be. And like you said, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But one thing we can do is take control of our health and do our utmost to make sure our immune system is as strong as possible, so that when things like COVID hit, or coughs, colds, anything like that, even in terms of cancer, anything like that, if your immune system is strong and you keep it as strong as you can, then you are going to be much more likely to be able to fight off viruses or anything like that. So it is something I am hugely passionate about.
Oh my goodness, me too. And the thing that really gets me is that even if we don't contract a cold or a virus, actually the way that we feel, like our immunity, like on a
Absolutely.
day-to-day
Yep.
basis, can either have us like have an amazing day
Yeah,
or have
yeah,
us just have a real
exactly.
funky day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's everything, you know, it's not just what you eat, it's not just exercising. And this is what I found, especially in the last year. I know we've spoken about, and I shared slightly to some, that my son last year was diagnosed with a chronic illness. And we did everything I can. Now, when I say we did everything, I researched beyond belief. I've got about 35 books on how I could make him better, how I could help him, how I could help heal him through food and lots of other things. So that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate as well, you know, because I think it's so, so important. And the more we know, the more we can, you know, the more we can be aware, the more it can help. But it's a real umbrella of things. It's not just one thing. And that's something I get asked all the time. What was the one thing that helped you lose 5 stone? There is never one thing. And I don't know if you get it in business as well, what's the one thing that's made you successful? There is no one thing in anything that we do. It's such a combination of things. And I think when we have these things and they all come together, that's when we feel so much better. You know, that's losing weight was a byproduct of everything else that I did. And actually, when I stopped focusing on losing weight and I thought, right, what can I do to improve my health? What can I do to improve my my skin? Because my skin was awful. You know, like you said in my introduction, and it was true. Every single week, I was coming down with tonsillitis, and my body was screaming at me to have good food, and I just wasn't. I wasn't listening to it. So I think if we're having these you know, things telling us, then that is a real sure sign that you need to make a change. And I needed to, you know, I was one of these people that started a fad diet every Monday because I'd had a weekend where I was going out with the girls and I hated the way I looked. I hated it. I would keep my coat on in the club. I'd be boiling, people coming up to me saying, "Are you hot?" No, I'm fine. But I just didn't want to take my coat off and, you know, let people see me. And I think so, you know, I started a diet on a Monday, determined to lose weight, and by the Wednesday, given up, and then be binge eating my way through to the next, you know, then it was like this pattern that just kept going. So my focus was very much then on how I looked, and you know, I was just desperate to lose weight because that's what I thought. Once I've lost weight, I'll be happier and I'll be more successful and I'll be able to do this and I'll be able to do that. And it just doesn't work like that, you know, until you start to look after your health, until you start to look after your mental health. I think that's another thing that's so important. It's still you until you start to really look after yourself and have some self-love and have some self-care, none of those things are going to come together. So it's
Yeah.
super, super
So
important.
what do you think for you was that pivotal moment? So there was that cycle, and I think a lot of women struggle with that. You know, we've all got insecurities about our body or our weight, and we like, don't we start a Monday, start
Yeah.
the week off with the best of intentions, and then like you said, that cycle goes on. So for you, what do you think was that pivotal moment that really had you change and make all
So
these changes that have made such a
yeah, so the
difference?
first thing was definitely after I had my children. So I've got 3 children. They are 8, nearly 7 and 5. And I remember I was about 9 months after I'd had, so my eldest, Harrison, he was about 9 months old. And I remember he was just crawling around on the floor playing with his toys, and I was on the sofa, and I was just really unhappy. And I thought, this is crazy. I've got a beautiful little boy, and I was so unhappy with myself. And I thought, you know, I don't want to carry on like this. I didn't want my picture taken. I've got no pictures of myself when my kids are little because I just hated pictures. So every time I saw myself, I was like, oh, delete that. So, you know, I was so caught up in my head and how I looked and how unhappy I was with myself. I let it get in the way of my memories. And what I didn't want was that my son and now children to grow up mirroring me. And you know, every time I looked in the mirror, which I couldn't, we didn't even have a big mirror in our house. I only had a little one, and I wanted them to be able to look in the mirror and love what they see. And I thought, if they copy me, they're going to have an awful relationship with food, they're going to have an awful relationship with their body, and I didn't want that. So I knew that in order to be able to help my children and help them love their bodies and have a good relationship with food and not let it kind of take over their life like it had mine, I had to be the change first. I had to be that change because kids don't they don't listen to us, but they watch us so much more than we know. And you know, I think that was something I didn't want to be standing in front of the mirror and going, oh God, I'm fat, and I'm this and I'm that, and why is my bum not bigger, and why is my tummy not flatter, and why are my boobs not perkier. I wanted to be able to look in the mirror and just love what I see, and you know, be grateful for my body and the way I was feeling. I couldn't do that. So that was my real pivotal moment when I had my children, definitely.
Yeah. Your big reason why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is so important. You've
that.
got to have that, haven't you? You've got to have that why, and that was definitely it. And then even more so when I had my little girl, because I know that there's just so much pressure, especially with social media right now. You know, there's so like these filters, and you know, we've got all of these filters, and I just think it's crazy that, you know, young girls now can't put a picture up on Instagram without having a filter, and you know, no one looks real anymore. And I think that's what's tough. So, you know, if we can,
it's so crazy. Like, even when you look at women who you're like, you're so beautiful, and you've got this crazy filter on. Yeah, look, we've had a question as well, Louise, from someone who's watching. It's Wes10282 who said, how long did it take before the things you were trying became part of your normal daily life and your routine?
Great question. So I think it took, that is a good question. It took me a good few months, and I failed a lot. And then they just started to become habit, especially when I started to really feel good. They just started to become habit. And until they became a habit, they were non-negotiable for me. And this is something I talk about quite a lot, is that when you're trying to make a change, it can't be, we always want to be motivated and think we're going to be motivated all the time. And motivation is a feeling. You're never going to be motivated all the time. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be determined. So until things were a habit to me, they had to be a non-negotiable. I had to exercise. And if I didn't exercise in the morning, I knew my excuses would come, and I just wouldn't exercise. And if I didn't exercise, then I probably wouldn't eat breakfast. And if I didn't eat breakfast, then I was going to snack on biscuits. So I really understood my triggers as well. And I think that was a massive learning curve for me. And a second thing was that I stopped looking at the scales and letting that determine how I felt and whether I was successful. So I did get on the scales and I did weigh myself, but I was going to carry on going no matter what. Whereas what I used to do was I used to jump on the scales and go, well, I've not lost any weight, or even worse, I've put on weight. And then I would just think, well, what is wrong with me? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I do this? And actually, and you'll know, your weight can fluctuate massively throughout the day, throughout the month, depending on where you are in your cycle, you know. So our body is constantly changing. So when we're always trying to get this self-validation and things from a bloody number on the scales, you know, we're setting ourselves up to fail all the time. And I think that's where so many people go wrong. So in terms of coming back to the question, I think you just have to have your non-negotiables. And sometimes you're gonna get up and it's just gonna all be easy, but some days it's not. So if they're non-negotiables and they have to be done, it just becomes part of your day. You don't let those excuses win.
Yes, amazing. I love that. Set yourself up for the day and then win at the day. And you got a massive thumbs up there from Wes, who asked the question.
Yeah,
so
I hope I answered that okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it got a big thumbs up. So look, I'd love to talk about immunity then. So what are your top tips? Like, what can we do? So especially like if we're, like maybe it's, like you say, taking the focus off of what do the scales say, using that to measure how healthy you are.
Absolutely.
What about your immunity is like a measure of health? Definitely. So what can people do to increase their immunity?
So I'll go through it quickly because I could waffle on for hours about it because it's something I'm so passionate about. But I have like five simple steps that you can do to really boost your immune system. So the first thing is making sure you are getting enough sleep. And so many people struggle with sleep. And the reason we struggle with sleep so much is because we have our phones attached to our hands all of the time. So we are guilty. Exactly. So we are on our phone, and our phone emits a blue light, which keeps our brains working, keeps us activating, and we go to bed and we're trying to go to sleep and we can't. So then we scroll through social media and then we start comparing ourselves with other people. and it's very difficult for us to fall asleep. Or then we wake up in the middle of the night, or what time is it? Oh, I'm just going to scroll through my phone again. And then what happens is we get up in the morning. First thing most of us do is they grab for the phone. So before you've even got your head up off the pillow, you're scrolling through social media. So this affects our sleep so much. So in terms of sleep, one of the biggest things I recommend is that you have a bedtime and a morning routine. Have a routine, and even if you have an awful night's sleep, still try and get up at whatever time in the morning, but get up. So when your alarm goes off, do not snooze it, because snoozing is one of the worst things you can do. Don't snooze.
Don't do it.
Just get up. Literally count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up. Mel Robbins is an amazing coach. I don't know if you've heard of her, but
Oh
she
yeah, I
has,
love
who
her.
doesn't love Mel Robbins, to be honest? So she has an amazing TED talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, and she that's where I learned it from her. And you know what? It helps me. Stops any of your excuses. Stops. Oh yeah, but this bed's so lovely and warm. Gets you up and gets you out. And then when you're in a morning routine, you're going to be then easier to go to bed and sleep at night time. You're going to fall asleep. And again, there's so much that we can do in terms of what we eat to improve our sleep. But getting a really good night's sleep and trying to keep your phone away from you, so you're at least not using your phone when you go to bed, is something that's super important.
Yeah. And is there like an optimum number of hours that we should sleep for?
Everyone's different, so I would say everyone's different, but really you're looking, most people, in between 6 to 8 hours. I can function quite well on 6 hours. If I get too much sleep, I feel worse. So again, it's about understanding our bodies. I think we are literally told everything right now, like you should feel like this, you should eat this, you should do this. We're just forgetting to listen to our bodies. So kind of trial and test it and see how you are. I'm really good on 6 hours. I work really well. But some people work better on 8. But I know if I have 8 hours sleep, I just feel more tired. So yeah, really try and listen to your body and how you feel. That's the thing that I would recommend the most.
Amazing, thank you.
So that's tip 1, sleep. Tip 2 is making sure you are eating less processed food. So this is going to be something that boosts your immune system so importantly, because processed food now is full of just all the stuff that our body doesn't need. So your body is going to have to work so much harder to get rid of all the toxins, get rid of all the rubbish that our body doesn't need, which means it stops. It's not working and doing what it should be. So our body is having to work so much to combat all of this rubbish that we're putting into our bodies. And we just don't realize the damage that it's doing, in terms of things that are easy for us to cook and shove in the microwave or shove in the oven, and they're packaged, and they're packaged in plastic, which is full of toxins. Just, it's just not good. And the amount of sugar, salt, and bad fats that are in these processed foods to make them cheap is just crazy. So I would really recommend, and don't go crazy, like, if you're busy and you're finding it all overwhelming and you're trying to make a health change, just start with one meal. Start with one meal a week, and then from there go on to 2, and then make those small changes. Don't overwhelm yourself and think, right, every night this week I'm going to cook a homemade meal, and again you're setting yourself up to fail. Make small changes. What can you do to better tomorrow? And I think that's really important. So trying to cut out the processed foods. What can you do, maybe instead of having a bowl of Cocoa Pops or Rice Krispies or whatever you have in the morning, have some overnight oats. You can soak them in the evening, the evening before, or having a smoothie packed full of green leafy vegetables and loads of goodness. That is a really great way to start your day and stop having the sugar, because breakfast cereals are one of the worst things in terms of sugar. So there's lots that you can do to cut down on your processed foods and start eating better. Another thing is just reading your labels. Read the labels that are on your foods, and just because it is labeled as healthy does not mean it is. It's, again, this whole thing with people going vegan because they think it's improving their health. And if you go whole food, plant-based, absolutely, that's so good for your health. But a lot of these foods that we're seeing that vegans that have been produced for vegans are still highly processed and have still got so many ingredients. So if you're looking at a packet and there's like 35 ingredients in there, just put it down. but look at the packet, because when you start looking, you will be amazed at what you see. And it's just bringing that awareness to us. So tip
Yeah,
number 2,
honestly, crazy.
crazy.
Crazy. And you know what? So just before you hopped on, I was like introducing to everyone. One of the things I said was that everything, sometimes we're not told the information that we need to make empowered and powerful choices for our bodies, our health,
Absolutely.
our mindset. And that gets me when it's on packaging, like, this is a healthy breakfast
Absolutely, all the
cereal.
time. And the thing is, if and this is one of the things that I've learned, if it says on a package, one of your 5 a day, or this is high in fiber, the chances are it probably isn't, because it's having to tell you. You know, if you're going, there was I went into the supermarket the other day and I picked up like, it was a snack bar, not to eat, just to have a look, because I love to do that every now and then, like look at the ingredients, what's in there. So on the package it was 99 calories, high in fiber, this is so good for you, blah blah blah. And then I turned it around and looked at the ingredients, and then yeah, there was like 25 different ingredients, and 4 of them were 4 different types of sugar. 4.
No
So, you
way.
know, I think this is where, again, we just have no idea. And I used to fall into that category all the time. I used to, you know, pick up foods. This 90, 99 calories, amazing. This is going to help me lose weight. This is going to make me feel amazing. And it didn't, you know. I was eating all these sugars, which are then, and all these additives that are making us crave more food. And, you know, it's been brought to us by the food manufacturers that want us to keep eating. You know, so again, we're not listening to our bodies, because we're just being fed this rubbish to make us crave more. So, you know, no wonder
Yeah.
there's a massive obesity crisis right now, because we're just eating the wrong type of things, but we have no idea. We have no idea. So, yeah.
Honestly, I could rant with you about this, like, end of the aisle
Yeah,
supermarket.
exactly. And swiftly moving on, because otherwise we could be here all evening.
Yeah, let's
Before I
go.
get up
What's
on
the
my
next top
soapbox.
tip?
Next one. Next one is your water. And again, so important. Water is so important to boosting your immune system. You know, it helps us flush toxins through our body. It keeps us hydrated. It's so good for our skin. It's amazing. And so many of us don't drink enough water. And it's really simple. Don't drink squash. It's not water, and it's obviously got loads of things in it. Just drink water. If you can't stand the taste of water, or you think it's boring, then you can add some fruit to it to give it some taste. But honestly, like, the thing I have first of all every single morning is what I call my detox water. Because if you think your body goes through this whole cleanse in the morning, in the evening, and while you're sleeping, and it's regenerating all these cells, and then we get up and the first thing we have is a coffee, or you know, whatever you have for breakfast. So if the first thing you can do is have some, like what I have, so it's just water with some lemon, some cayenne pepper, and a bit of salt, so Himalayan pink salt, and basically it just makes all of those cells really work really well. It's an amazing thing to have first of all, first thing in the morning. And then just make sure you've always got a water bottle with you, to encourage you. If you're really rubbish at drinking, and so many people say to me, I'm just rubbish, set a reminder on your phone, go off every 2 hours, and then just have a good drink. But water is so important. So, and we don't look at it enough. So really try and make sure, and try not to be, again, sold into this like vitamin water, or you know, water with a hint of this, because it's still got sugar and sweeteners in. You know.
They were crazy. Those were the hint. My mum loved them, and then I think she saw something. It was like, it's got a teaspoon of sugar in it,
Yeah,
and it just,
at
yeah, it's
least,
just crazy.
at least. And again, sugar free doesn't mean sugar free. It just means it's full of other rubbish. So, you know, again, get to know your labels and things. And water is, yeah, it's boring, but you know what? It's good for your health. And sometimes we just need to have the boring stuff to really. I mean, I love water. I have to say, I love it.
Me
But
too.
I know a lot of people do find it boring. But you know, come on, this is for your health. It's super important. And actually, adding like lemons or blueberries or strawberries or anything, you know, get a bit creative with it. So that was
Yeah, there's loads
my,
of ideas online
yeah,
as
that
well.
was my third point. My fourth point, coming straight into it, is sugar. Cut out your sugar intake. And again, we don't realize that sugar is in everything that we eat. It's literally in everything. And again, until we started to look at labels, we just didn't realize. And I think we are meant to have, oh, I can't even remember now, something like 6 teaspoons of sugar a day. So we can have some sugar. Our bodies need some sugar, but we are now eating crazy amounts of sugar every single day, and sugar leads to inflammation in the body, and we do not want too much inflammation in the body. We want some because it helps us fight infections. Some inflammation is good, but we are now getting more and more inflammation in our body, which leads to diseases, which leads to things like heart disease, stroke, diabetes. Diabetes is increasing. Everything is increasing. You know, cancer. All of this is increasing, as we've got to look at why. And the reason is because of our diet, because our diets now are so high in sugar and processed foods. So cut down on your sugar, and you will feel so much better as well. You will feel so much more energy because you're not getting that dip of energy. You know, how many times have you gone, oh, I need some sugar, especially when you're on your period or you're due on that week before, and you're like, oh, someone get me sugar, I'm going to kill you. You know, your body's actually screaming out for other things. It's screaming out for other nutrients, and we just think it's the sugar that we need. So we have that massive rise, and then we have that crashing fall. So we really want to just look at things that are, you know, not high in sugar, because it's just not good for us. It's not good for us in the amounts that we're eating it in. And lastly, just getting out in the fresh air. Going for a 10-minute walk will boost your immune system straight away. You don't need to do it consistently over a period of time for it to build up in your body. Going for just a 10-minute walk will boost your immune system straight away. So get out in the fresh air and get some vitamin D on you. Vitamin D is another thing that massively boosts your immune system, like hugely boosts your immune system. And it's only coming out now that people should be taking vitamin D, because it boosts your immune system. And we found there's actually studies done that prove people that have got higher levels of vitamin D are able to cope with COVID so much better. So, you know, get out in the fresh air. We've been told to stay inside, you know, and but we also need to get out and get the fresh air, and just walking or doing some exercise, and, you know, getting your head up and smiling more at people, and, you know, just lifting your energy and lifting your mood. All of these things can improve your immune system, and it's so important right now.
In 10 minutes, we can all find 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
No one can tell me they don't have 10 minutes.
Exactly. Stop scrolling on your phone and get out and go for a walk.
We need that as a little meme. Stop scrolling your phone.
Exactly.
Get out.
Get your butt outside in the fresh air. Even if it's raining, you know, it's so nice to go out in the rain. So yeah, get out in the fresh air. It's so important. So important.
Amazing. So what you mentioned there was our period.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So there are particular phases in our cycle. So for example, when we are ovulating, our immune system takes a bit of a hit, a bit of a dip. So is there anything specific that you would recommend that we could do in that phase of our cycle, just to make sure that we're on top of it?
Yeah, again, so just making sure, if you're consistently doing everything that we've spoken about throughout the month anyway, your body's still going to have a slight dip because of what it's doing and because of the hormones that are working harder. However, it's not going to be affected quite as much. So again, you're going to be, you know, eating things like your green leafy vegetables, trying to add more of those to your diet. And again, getting that water intake into you, and getting exercise around your cycle, and when you're ovulating and when you're on your period. So often we don't feel like doing it, but it's so important. So anything like that is especially important when you know that your body is going through a time when your immune system might be more compromised. It's more important, absolutely, to just really eat fruits and vegetables, lots of, you know, good foods.
Amazing, thank you. And I have one final question for you. So in like our conversation, you said a few times like listening to your body, and that, you know, we don't do that very often now, and we're consumed by the information that we're given to us, what we're told we should do. Oh, this is good for you. Oh, I've like, you know, I'm really great for you, eat me. But listening to our bodies is the thing that will help us to make a difference. So have you got any top tips for us in how we could listen? Because I know that some women might be thinking, but how do I know? My body doesn't speak to me to tell me. So when you say listen, like, what are the things that we can look out for?
So again, just kind of strip back. Do you know what, one of the things I really recommend is not a detox, but kind of just strip back on as much of the food that you're eating in terms of processed foods and sugar, and do it for a week and see how you feel. And then you will be able to feel so much more in the sense of, am I hungry? Am I tired? Because you're not running on rubbish food. And so many people say to me, I often, when I have my one-to-one clients or I start a group coaching program and we're looking at these things, that's the first, that's what we do first of all. We strip back on all the food and we go back to natural basics, and it's basic food. I'm not asking you to go out and buy a load of, you know, expensive ingredients, but go out and just get fresh fruits and vegetables and just start to eat that, and you will be able to hear how your body is talking to you. And that's something that, yeah, you're just not getting all of the additives and then all of the things. And so many people say to me, God, I feel so much better for doing that. So important.
Yes, a no sugar challenge. I feel like it should be like a weekly, monthly thing. I'm having a no sugar challenge.
Well, I run
can...
a sugar-free challenge, so we've got one coming up soon. So yeah, it's I love running the challenge because people are like, oh my God, I had no idea. I talk literally about the effects that sugar can have on us. And don't get me wrong, when I say that sugar is like sugar is the devil, blah blah blah, I still have sugar, and I am a lover of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and I could quite happily eat a tub of it on my own. However, what we need to be doing is just eating less day to day. If we can eat less day to day, it's going to impact us so much, so that when we want to have the Ben and Jerry's every now and then, it's not going to impact our health. But it's having the Ben and Jerry's on top of everything else that you've had. That's what's impacting our health. So if we can cut back and we can just again be more aware and understand, then you know you're not going to feel guilty. And I used to feel guilty if I even looked at Ben and Jerry's. Now I'm like, you know, I'm not sharing this with anyone. This is mine, and I'm not feeling guilty. You know, so we all want to be able to have that better relationship with food as well. And I think when you just get really clear about your goals and what you're working towards and how you want to feel, and you listen to your body in a way that you can feel good, all of that's going to become so much easier.
Amazing. I love that. Yes. And if people listening wanted to join in your sugar-free challenge, how can they do that?
So follow me on Instagram because you'll get all the information. I haven't actually even launched yet, so I've just put it out here. But yeah, we'll be putting all of the information out within the next couple of days. So you'll get a link and you can just sign up to the link, and then we will be doing it then. But it's brilliant. It's such a great challenge. It's really, really great fun. So yeah, and I'll share the link with you as well, Mary, so that we can do it. So yeah,
I'll share that as well on our Insta.
Amazing.
So yeah, definitely, so exciting. Thank you so much.
You're
Honestly,
welcome.
It's been my absolute pleasure. And you've given us such amazing information, and I think that's just so important, that we actually start making decisions based on real, true information that is going to support us in our lives and with our health and our fitness, rather than just this information that's given to us that, you know, we take as it's the truth, and that actually it isn't. Thank you for being part of the conversation.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
So gorgeous. Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. All right, we'll say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us.